So welcome to the Helix webinar series. Today's session is on DWP Guest Portal, extending self-service beyond the enterprise. Another exciting session. We did have one yesterday, so we're now going into the Guest Portal. Yesterday was a little bit different, and I will be sharing out those recordings for those that have already joined the last session. Before we get started, just would like to share with you, as there's some roadmap items in here. This is a legal notice, just to say that we'd rather you not record. We will be sharing out the content post-event, and we will be sharing out a subset of the slides. If you can just take a minute or so to read this. The other reminder for those that are new to coming to Zoom, there is the Q&A section. If you have any questions during the presentation, the slides and demo, please put those in there. We do have an extended team joining Deepak today that can answer those questions. And then you will remain muted during the time that we present. And then towards the end, the last 15 or 10 minutes, we will open up for live Q&A. So if you do have any questions and want to speak to Deepak or his team live, please save those to the end, but also put those into the Q&A section. So I'm now going to hand over for Deepak to do his formal introduction and get us started and go through the agenda. Over to you, Deepak.
Thank you. Thanks, Sam. And thanks everyone for joining. We will be talking about the DWP Guest Portal. It's a net new functionality that we have introduced in 25.2 release. The part of the agenda is really to go over, what it is, what are the capabilities, how to enable it, really, what license do you need, and a short demo, and then followed by Q&A. And as always, I see a lot of familiar names on the guest list, attendees list. In case you don't know me, I am the principal product manager for BMC Helix Digital Workplace and Digital Workplace Catalog. So always happy to answer any questions that you have, and always ready to interact with you on community. So, always encourage that you guys all be part of the community so we interact more there. And feel free to tag me wherever you need my attention on communities. All right. So we'll get going into the agenda. What is this guest portal really? So you fairly know about the studio pages, you know about the MSP setup in digital workplace, you know about the external portal. It's a net new offering by BMC. It's called as the guest portal. There will be a separate SKU for this that needs, and I'll talk about the licensing part, but it's a net new product. It should not be confused with, sorry, it's a net new functionality and a net new SKU, not a different product, but net new offering inside digital workplace. It's still part of the digital workplace. It extends capability of what you have in digital workplace in order to provide a guest portal for people, those who are not part of your organization, and you don't even want them to register, right? So you can develop and publish web pages using Digital Workplace Studio without and offer it to the end users without requiring them to log in into Digital Workplace. You can control visibility of the pages, navigations, and also catalog items based on the entitlements that you define in the system. And we'll go through it, how it really works. You can configure different brand and themes, like how you can do it for individual tenant in the MSP mode, as well as in when you do it for the external portal. So you can have a total different theme brand separate from your corporate theme that you want to really show to your end users. You can, in this current release in 25.2, you will be able to show how to links for launching them to a different page or rendering them a different catalog page, giving them a knowledge. We'll talk about knowledge articles more as we move forward, but we support how to links in this release. This will be an add-on product offering to you if you move to service management suite licensing. Just remember, it's service management suite licensing, which is the net new licensing SKU that we have released. It can be given to you as an add-on SKU, and get in touch with your account manager. We can talk about, if you really want it, what is the cost, right, and how many entitlements do you get with your normal licensing, right? So because this is anonymous, you have to really, sorry, let me go back. You have to really integrate it in a way that it is seamless and you don't really depend on a user, right, who's actually accessing it. So there will be some integration accounts through which this will be integrated, and we will be impersonating those users for doing all those actions, like showing the catalog pages, showing how to knowledge, and basically submitting the requests. And we'll talk about that as we move forward. So how do you enable this guest portal? First, as I said, you need to have the service management suite license. Then you look at, what are your entitlements there, and then do you have this add-on SKU? And then if you need more capacity, you can buy more capacity. If you anticipate a lot of, the user hit on your public page, you can buy accordingly the license. You can track the usage. I'll also talk about tracking usage, but first is to have that license or entitlement. Then next thing after that, after you have that, for customers, those who are on-prem and SaaS, there will be a little bit of difference. On-prem, you have much more control on doing things yourself. SaaS, you'll have to rely on SaaS team for provisioning something, like a URL for you and give it to you, right? Everything else is yours really that you have to configure. You don't need to really depend on the SaaS team to do anything else. So first step, as a company who is enabling a guest portal, you decide that I want to enable a guest portal. Um, Before even I get there, let's step back a little bit. Why would you need a guest portal where you don't really need anybody to, authenticate themselves? They are not part of your organization. It's a public information. You necessarily don't want to track who they are, what they are really doing, and if they want to really convert to a user, they would basically follow a separate path for registration, and then you will give them a link to really get into a normal digital workplace. But consider example of telcos where you have your public website, somebody needs to really inquire about some offering. Think about a school system, right, where parents are coming in for the new school year, where they want to get information about the admission procedure, school fee, and basically inquire about something, fill up a form, fill up a request form to send them a admission form or different resources that they would need. And we have a lot of customers, those who are school based, and they are running the universities where this functionality is a lot needed, right? In telcos, as I said, as an example, in in customer service management, CSM, you would really would like to offer this to your end users because you don't necessarily want them to basically register with you. They're not part of your active directory, not part of your organization, right? They are not your employees. So that's where this portal is really needed. So as a company, you need to decide, do you need to enable the guest portal? If the answer is yes, you go ahead with certain configuration. The first configuration that you need to do, as a super admin of your system, digital workplace system, you need super admin permission. You need to go and configure this setting. There will be a new setting called guest portal. It's in the screenshot that you need to turn this on. You need to identify a company from your companies that you have in your ITSM to be called as a tenant that's going to be used for the guest portal. Something to keep in mind, when this is MSP setup or there is an external portal setup, you cannot use those companies, or a default tenant, you cannot use those for creating the guest portal. So it has to be a company other than where a tenant is already registered, right? Something to pay attention. If you are an MSP, you have 15 companies and out of which 10 are already registered as a subtenant, then you only have option for rest 5 to be used. Okay. So you need to be very careful. You cannot really use the same thing. Our system won't really even allow you to register those. They will be grayed out. They will be in the list, but grayed out. Then once the moment you really register this company's, configure settings and then click on save, a guest user account is automatically created by the system, by us. You have liberty to go and change the name and all everything for that user, but we recommend, like if you want to call it something else, but that's going to be your integration account that should be used, that will be used for the integration purpose. You don't have to do anything additional really from your side. You can just tweak that user a little bit from the CTM people from form, but then you don't have to really configure anything. Okay. The only part where you have some reliance, if you are a SaaS customer, or on your infrastructure, if you are on the SaaS side, is you will need a guest portal URL. Okay. In order to configure this. The guest portal URL is a way to tell your application, your DNS, where to basically go and get routed in case somebody access that that URL, that it should be going to the guest portal. So in case of SaaS, if you are entitled, SaaS team will automatically create a guest portal URL and give it to you as part of the provisioning. If you buy that SKU, you can ask for for the life cycle activation life cycle request to provide you the URL. Once you have that URL configured, you just need to copy paste that URL here. And in on-prem, You have to really work with your infrastructure team to really connect and have ingress created on your containers to point to that particular URL. And but you need to have a different URL. You cannot use the same URL as your digital workplace URL because that's reserved for your employees. Okay, system won't even allow you to save that URL. So something to keep in mind. And then once that is done, you want to give shift left. You want to give some permission to that. You want to create some guest portal administrators who can take care of that tenant, right? And you don't need to really, as an administrator, super admin, really take care of that on the day-to-day basis. So you basically assign my IT admin permission. They will be functionally called as the guest portal admins. But behind the scenes, the permission is the guest port. There's the my IT admin permission that you need to assign to those people. They will be visible here in the drop down list automatically the moment you add them. So this is the first step. The second step is the person that you assigned as the guest portal admin now needs to log into the guest portal and do the administrative tasks. This URL setting in the previous step is optional. You can also do it here. Until you define a URL, your portal will not be exposed to anybody. Even if it is the URL, if somebody is aware of the URL, if this toggle is off, it will say it's temporarily unavailable. So you don't need to really even bother about like a separate URL, redirect URL in case of 404 not found really. We have taken care of that of an empty state saying that it's temporarily unavailable. So in case you even need to shut down your guest portal, you can just toggle this setting off rather than deleting everything else, and it's gonna just say it's temporarily turned off. So then you basically validate or set the URL, then you will personalize everything in the portal. There are certain limitations on what is available in the portal, and we'll talk about that. The reason is because you don't know who the end user is really. So we had to really take out the aspects of things where you know who the user is who's accessing the portal. So things like branding, feature settings, studio pages, navigation, catalog section, how to articles, contact options, etc., etc. Whatever you see as a guest portal admin will all be available for you to configure. After the portal is configured, your URL is set, your page is created, studio page is created, you're happy, you can just turn on the URL. Sorry, yeah, you can just turn on this URL, request URL. And then next step is to really go to the virtual marketplaces if you want to offer some sort of services. For example, I just mentioned in a school system, I want to have like an inquiry form that needs to be available so that any parent can fill it up and then you can interact with them at a later stage. So you can create uh, services, and then you can create virtual marketplace in DWP catalog to basically make those services visible and searchable from the guest portal. If it's not there, the services will not be available. So you just need to make sure that that part is taken care from the DWP catalog perspective. And then once all of this is done, you're ready to go. You can just your end users can start using the guest portal. So what are the core capabilities, what is supported versus what is not supported, and some roadmap item. So I'm specifically talking about 25.2. This is all supported, this is non-supported, and then we'll talk about this color coding of what is going to be made available in the future. So you can have only one guest portal per DWP setup. You cannot have more than one guest portal configured. That means only one tenant, one guest portal. You can have n number of studio pages, you can have n number of services, but it will be only one tenant that can be registered in the guest portal. It can work with external portal and MSP. So that means you can, with both of them, if you have external portal setup, you can still have one guest portal. Within MSP setup also, you can have one guest portal, only one guest portal for entire DWP system. Okay, something to remember. Then it only supports native DWP catalog services. We are not supporting SRM. As you already know, our direction is to go towards DWP catalog, and we have provided all the tools and means for customers to really move to DWP catalog. So we want you to really consume DWP catalog services. How to articles are supported in this release. Catalog page is available. That's your out-of-the-box catalog page. Studio pages and search views. Search views were the one which we introduced in previous two releases, that you can have a search view. Search right now, search bar is supported in the studio page and the core catalog page. It will only be limited to DWP catalog items and how to resources for now. In future, we'll expand it to knowledge articles. contact IT button. So you have like a contact button for general help that will be made available. Brandings and label customization will all be available to you in different locales. You can do all of that. Privacy policy is available. Localization, as I said, is available. Navigation manager for managing your for your top navigations, and then your homepage association, request redirection pages, all of that will be available. And the reports for usage will also be available to you. Non-supported items for now is live chat handover and employee navigator. This is on the roadmap. So when I say it's not supported right now, it will be supported in the future. So this is a roadmap item. Plus knowledge articles from RKM, Helix Knowledge Management, Business Workflow Knowledge will also be made available at a later stage. We are working with the respective products to have a kind or different kind of tagging to the knowledge articles so that they are generally available without any restrictions. So, they are made available to a company or made available as an entitlement to the integration user, and then they basically start showing up, right? So that's not there, but will be there. SRM quick links not supported. My activity, my stuff and service health not supported. And you have to understand the reason why they are not supported because and will not be even supported in the future because my activity, my stuff, service health, those all are things that when you know who the user is. If you don't know who the user is, how can you really have like my activity, my stuff, and service health? Because it's totally an anonymous access to the digital workplace. So we don't see any future with these there in the guest portal. Innovation Suite pages also, the one that you create in Innovation Suite, they're highly tied to who you are, what are your permissions, your group level permissions, your security level permission. So they will also not be available. From the search, we will include knowledge article search, as I mentioned, but request approvals and SRDs, they will not be supported because it's an integration account. You cannot really show anybody else's requests there. So they will not be supported on behalf of, because it's not an employee use case. You cannot really have visibility into somebody else. Just consider this as a public website. Can you really search somebody else who's accessing that website? Answer is no. Notifications, you cannot really use the core notification from DWP notification engine, but you can trigger notification from the process that's in the catalog service. But the bell icon, push, and email notification core functionalities will not be available because you are not registered in the system. You are just a guest user. Survey collaborators, same thing. Location appointments, because we don't know who you are really. Social collaboration, because again, we cannot track who you are really, so that feature is not relevant in this case. And same goes for the user profile options, because you don't have any profile in the system, you're just a guest user. Okay, so these are the core capabilities. Now, after all of this is live, how you need to track the usage, right? So you need to really go into something called as the reports under the under the guest portal administration. And then you will have this kind of report. Right now, you can see it's generating a CSV. In next release, subsequent releases, you will have a table where you can get the same report for the active users. BMC will be tracking this for your consumption when you basically enable this portal. So we will also track your enablement of the guest portal, as well as basically once you start using this, we'll track your usage, and your account managers and customer success managers will talk to you about over usage and buying additional capacity if needed, or reducing the capacity as and when really needed. So you give the time duration and you will be able to generate a CSV report. Now, when a guest user accesses the portal, their session is basically impersonated as a guest user that's created by system automatically for all the HTTP requests. Single sign-on is not involved because you don't know who the user is, so RSSO is completely bypassed in this use case. Something to remember now, you may come up with a question that how will you basically measure my usage because you don't know who the person is. So as I said, it will be impersonated. So in your browser, we will be creating a session for this impersonation that will be uniquely identified. We will keep that session active as per an environment variable setting called DWP session timeouts in minutes that you have in your environment as an environment variable. It's defaulted to 30 minutes. That means if you are active, if you are active, inactive, and still using system in 30 minutes, you'll still be counted as one user. The moment you're inactive out of 30 minutes and you come probably next day and again access the portal, it's going to be counted as another usage. So count number two really for the same user. And in those 30 minutes, and when their session is active, they can access multiple times, they can do multiple things. We just count it as once. But as long as the session timeout is maintained, you need to really, we'll be counting the HTTP requests here, and then we'll be uniquely identifying those users. But the moment the session is timed out, they'll reload the page. That's going to be counted as another user. So again, you need to measure how many users will be hitting your website. You need to closely monitor your guest portal and then scale accordingly. Okay. Again, tweaking this parameter can have, it's an optimal setting. Tweaking this parameter just to have a larger session, larger timeout can adversely impact your system. So we don't recommend to go really overboard with, the sessions there. This is your default setting really in your environments that you are usually provisioned with, right? But something to remember that, this is what is available out of the box, and this is one of the environment variables based on which we track all the information. So we track source from where person is accessing the page, when they logged in, when there was the last HTTP request, like URL hit, and then what was the overall duration of that session, how many times they access the resources, right? HTTP requests. So these are not a request in like DWP request, but these are HTTP requests. So when you are having back and forth with the web server, okay? All right. So without further ado, we'll go into the demo part, and I'll show you how the portal is set up, and then we can just take your questions. Okay, let's see. All right. So as a MyIT super admin, which is nothing but a permission, right, that you assign, you will have a new feature. Let me quickly refresh this. Pardon me for that. So Liam in this case is the MyIT super admin. And then Liam goes in under the configuration. After 25.2 upgrade, they'll start seeing a guest portal entry here. It's next to the external user, so do not confuse with external user. It's a net new entry. Okay, guest portal. When you go here, it will basically ask you for the company where you want assignment of the tenant to happen. So these are all the companies that are available. Again, I am in a non-MSP setup, so I don't, and no external portal, so that's why these are available. But let's assume BMC software was already taken by an MSP. It won't be clickable. It will be grayed out. So in this case, I'm going to enable Apex Global. I see there are 32 administrators inside that, and then I will be one of those because I just prepared it for the demo purposes so that we don't have to spend time. So I'm already part of it. If you don't have any administrators, it's going to tell you here that you don't have any people with MyIT admin permission. Go and give them permission, but it will let you do the configuration. Then you configure the URL. So I'll quickly copy the URL from my that my network team and my activation team has basically given me. I can just set it up and just pretty simple, just save. It's going to ask you that you're going to create it, confirm assignment. Okay, my changes are saved, so my guest portal should be enabled. Now I need to log in. So I already showed you that I have an account. I need to now log in as the guest portal admin. So let's quickly go to the guest portal administration. Just bear with me. I'm just moving things around. Okay, so I'm logged in as Deepak right now, and let's quickly see. This is a studio page. Let's quickly open the administration part. So I'm logged in as Deepak, who was the guest portal administrator. In my CTM people form, I have permission of MyIT admin. I was part of that group. And you can see now I have these configurations available. So it's limited set. If you click on the configurations, you'll see limited set of functionalities. You have these application features. You have to enable enhanced catalog. And there are studio pages. Those will not be automatically enabled. So you have to do some tenant level configuration. As in order to really have a smooth demo, I did some of this configuration already, but typically you would really do that. So then what you can do really, I had created a studio page. So again, you'll have a guest portal entry here, which will carry forward the same settings that you obtained from there, but you will not have, as you can see, you will not have a company setting here because that's your super admin's responsibility, not your responsibility. This is the guest account that was automatically created. So this is the name of the user and this is the login ID of the user. This is randomly created. You can change some of these settings from CTM people from like their first name, last name. Typically, you will keep a note of this for any integration related use cases and for defining the entitlements, right? But as a guest portal administrator, you can always toggle this off and then the website will be taken offline for some time until you basically turn this back on. Okay. And you have this information here on the tooltip. All right. So once that is done, you go back to your normal configurations. So in this case, I'm actually taking a use case of a scenario of a school system. Okay, like I was explaining you all, I have created a studio page where this is a school page. As you can see, I have a search bar. Again, there will be limited uh, items available from the studio page as well. Like you don't have a my stuff block and innovation suite grid block and all of that because it's not supported really. So what is the meaning of showing that here? So only supported items will be shown here. So in this case, I have um, a search bar, some content blocks, then FAQ links, and then I have a footer section. Again, a content block, but I've basically added it there. And then I have this content block where I have services associated to it, right? The ones that I basically made entitlements on this page. You can preview this page, how this page is going to look like, right? This is how your end users will see it. And then you create the navigation. Now, if there is no page, then catalog page, the core catalog page will take over. Okay, that's like your fallback page. But in this case, I have disabled it. But it's like your default page. In your system, my activity is the default page if you don't have it. In this case, because there is no my activity, we had defaulted it to the catalog page. But if you define your rules and your pages properly, you won't have that problem at all, right? So I have the defined home page and then it's available to everybody. Post request redirection is also home page, right? So all of this configuration is available. Now from the branding perspective, I'll change the branding to match to the school. So if you look at the brandings, I have changed the logos. I have changed the navigation style. The logo is modified. And I've not adjusted colors, but you can do it. It's going to be all available as per, as per the configuration that you would do for this tenant, totally separated from your employees, your internal DWP portal, your MSP, your external portal. Okay. Next, you have under help desk, you have options available for contact IT, where you can tell users about, okay, how to contact, whom to contact, right? Those helpful things. And then how to management is something that I said is currently supported, where you'll have inline, like the how to links that you can define. Those will also be searchable from your search bar. Okay. Then under service requests, you can create catalog sections only using the catalog items as well as the how to links. Okay. Because those are the only two permitted things right now. So if you need to really create a catalog section, you can create that and you can bring that on the page, studio page. Here I have not used it, but I'm just letting you know that there is a how to, and then I can also add another one where it's going to show the catalog items that I have available on the system, and I can just use it really. Okay. Um, this is the report part, and I'll go to the report part later on. But again, what I have done is I have configured the privacy statement also for the user because I wanted to show you where the privacy statement will be shown because there is no login screen, right? So again, label customizations, you're already familiar. Branding, I've already shown you. Search, enhanced catalog. This will be configuration to your DWP catalog that you need to really do. Yeah. Um, and then you have a privacy statement and languages, attachment policies, right? And analytics and logging, right? So those are all simple stuff, but you can look at that. I have a privacy statement that I have put in here. Now so this is all live. Now let's take a look at what would be the experience for anybody who's coming in as a guest. Okay. All right. This is a guest access. So consider this as your user who's not registered. They will be logged in. You can see it's pretty trimmed down. It says you are signed in as a guest user. The URL is totally different than DWP. It has GP, so it's guest portal. You can have your own. The privacy policy is under this now because you do not have like a login page. Again, you have all these options. The contact IT button is actually placed here. So if you click on it, it's going to have your contact information available here. These are the links that I have basically mentioned. So now as a parent, I want to really search something. Again, I have not completely created the entire schooling system, but just the idea to show you what is possible. So I'm just Yana, I'm just inquiring as a parent about the class size. So I have how to article, and then basically also to, basically about the class information that, or, admission to the elementary school, that is an associated service to this. I can request that, or I can have like article. So I'm basically clicking on the class size. It takes me to an external document. So this is nothing but your how to link. Okay. As a parent, now I have some information that I already wanted, like these are FAQs that are available. I can access that. I also want to probably plan a visit now and see how is the facility, how is the school. So I click on a visit request. It's nothing but a catalog item that was entitled here, and I can go ahead and submit it. Now, before I go there, I just want to show you as step three, how can I enable that, right? So under digital workplace catalog, you have entitlements. As you can see, I have disabled the full catalog view because I want to have some sort of limits between who can access what. So I have created a guest portal users. And as you can see, I have put the integration account here as the user who's entitled to this. Okay. So I selected that user, and then I basically added these catalog services for school tour booking, for new school admission, and then all of this. That's all made available under this user. So anytime you're accessing that portal as a user, you will be getting that. You also have flexibility to make it more refined. I could have also gone and said Apex Global. So anybody who's accessing Apex Global will automatically see this. But in my case, I just did it with this guest portal because I really wanted to show you how integration works, right? So I'm logged in as a guest user. That's why I'm able to see those services. Okay. I hope so far all of you are with me. So same goes for banners and then the normal settings that you have for the virtual marketplace. Okay. So that's why as a parent I'm able to search all of that. So as a parent, um, I'm gonna basically request for a school booking, and I basically request. These are some information. They don't want me to really register on their website. They can just let me know who you are, right? What is your full name? What are your contact details? Okay, so that they can communicate with me. I can probably throw in another question saying, what is my preferred method of communication? I want to visit tomorrow. I request them, number of visitors, one, and special requests. Yeah, send me confirmation on email, right? And then I just submit it. Okay, submit the request. The request is submitted. I don't have any way of tracking it. Now it will be really submitted to the school system. Okay, and they will get back to me. Now, what happens behind the scenes? So the request is submitted, and you can see under request, you have school tour booking service which just got submitted. It created a work order with work order 11103, but it was requested as a guest user. Okay, and in Smart IT, yeah, let's see. Yeah, you can always check for that work order. And in this case, I'm just doing a lot of operation with the guest user. I can just search with the guest user. So this is the open ticket. That's 1103 I just showed you, right? And then you can do the mappings. That's easy stuff, right? All of you know how to do that mapping. So this is all available here, that this is the user, this is the preferred date and number of visitors, and all of that is available. So then you can communicate back and forth with them through the email system, but you really don't need them to be registered. They are submitting request as a guest user. Okay. All right. And So then now, if you want to bring this offline, so this was all about how do you set up, what resources are available. And now if you want to bring it offline, let's say for a maintenance purpose or something, all you got to do as an administrator from the guest portal administrator, just save the configuration. Just disable the URL and save the configuration. And then once you do that, let's see if it immediately takes effect. Yeah. So I'm now accessing the guest portal. It says temporarily unavailable, right? If I want to enable it back, I just go ahead and enable it. So less overhead for you, less configuration related issues for you. Pretty easy, straightforward to really configure all of this. Have I saved it? Yes, I have. Um, yeah, and the portal is back. Okay. So that's how you enable and disable. Now there could be a situation where you want to delete this configuration. You were trying to test something. As you could see, like in my system, I already had studio page, branding, and all everything configured because I just did it last night for the demo purposes. So it will retain your settings. Okay. If you delete, even if you remove the tenant by mistake, it's still gonna retain your information. So that's what I really wanted to let you know. So if you as a guest portal admin, if you click on remove configuration, okay, so this is gone, all right, from your guest portal. So the guest portal won't be accessible anymore. But in the back end on Innovation Suite under Digital Workplace subtenant record definition, you will still have an entry available. Okay, when you registered this guest portal, you really created an entry into a subtenant, right? And then it's called as the guest user subtenant. Okay, that's a subtenant type that's created. So if you go back at a later stage, if you delete it by mistake and you again do the Apex global setting from here and you configure the URL, you can bring back the entire configuration that you had. It's not lost, honestly, at that time, right? And then if I do confirm assignment, all of this will be available. So I can just go ahead and refresh the portal, and then it will be still available to me. Okay. Yeah. So it's not lost really. So all your branding and everything is still preserved. If you by mistake your administrator really deleted the configuration. But if you really want to clean up your system and don't want this anymore, you can remove the configuration from here, and then you have to go and delete the subtenant entry from here. Okay. That will basically disassociate everything that you have created. I mean, I wouldn't recommend this until you really remove your studio pages and everything, because you can leave some stale data behind. But when you are testing this out, if you have not done any configuration under the administration, you can just still delete because there is no configuration stored, right? Next time that you create, again, if you delete it and if you create a new subtenant again from here, it will be a net new entry that will be created, and you will have to start from the scratch only after you delete it from here, from the subtenant table. Okay, so that's something that you need to take care. All right, I think I have pretty much covered everything what's available with this guest portal. I can probably now take some questions and see on the chat how things are going on, and give you guys sufficient time to ask a question. So it was pretty short, but I hope this was really meaningful.
Deepak, before we go on there, do you want to pull up the slide with the recordings just so we can remind people where they can get all the content from previous? Okay, so there's just a couple of recommendations. The next session that the team are doing, I know some of you have joined some of the other digital workplace, and we do have Per that joined yesterday. He did his session. I will be sharing that link out when it's available. But we've also got on the 14th of May, What's New? So Deepak will be running that session with Carl Anders Falk, his colleague. We also have another employee navigator one for those that are particularly interested in that area. We run those on a monthly basis. That's with CAF. And then all of the past events are listed down here. Plus, we also convert those into podcasts. So just to recap, don't worry about taking all these links down. We will be sharing this out, the slideware, and all of the links will hyperlink to where the content's being kept. As far as questions, Deepak, your team have done a wonderful job at answering pretty much all of them, and I can see Tatiana is answering the last one that came from a customer. So what I'm going to do is leave her to continue to answer that question, and I'm just giving people the ability to speak to us live. So if you do have any questions and you want to speak to Deepak and the team, we've also got Per that's joined this session from Solutions Engineering, so I'm sure he'll be able to contribute as well if there's any questions that you have for us, which gives us 15 or so minutes to talk to you live. If not, you get some time back. Just while I'm doing that, Deepak, and we wait for people to raise their hands or maybe put some other questions, was there any other recaps, anything else that we want to make them aware of? I think some of them obviously have already received the Gartner insights. If they're interested in just helping BMC to fill those in, you should have received a survey on some of the past events, and anything else that you wanted to do as a call to action.
No, I think just follow up on the Gartner peer review. Your reviews, your feedback is definitely very important. So yeah, please go ahead and submit that.
Great, thank you. I can see we've got a hand raised from Abhijat. If you want to come off mute, and then we'll go to Kevin's question in the Q&A. Can you hear us, Abhijat?
Yeah, I can hear. Can you hear me?
Hello. Yes, hello.
Thanks, Samantha. Wonderful session. Just question I have this. Want to understand clearly that how the users are getting registered. So if user A is coming as a guest user and user B is coming as a guest user, both are submitting the same service, which is showing like a parent trying to register for an tour, then and suppose it is generating a work order, then wouldn't it be showing the same user in the actual work order, although you're capturing the details in different questions like the parents details, but the registered user requested by or for whatever, is it going to be the same with which the integration has been done?
Yeah, that's the whole reason because if you know the nitty-gritties of the ITSM system, requested by, requested for needs you to have a CTM people form. It basically
Yeah.
fails if you try to ingest any other value, so it won't allow you to even see your fulfillment creation will fail. So there are use cases, for example, and I'll tell you few use cases that we are working with our own IT, where you know the who the person is, okay? But they are not able to get into the virtual private network or the application because probably they had account logged out or they have their multi-factor authentication blocked because of certain problem. They lost their device and they're not able to do the single sign-on because you have like a push generation or a biometric verification on their device. In those use cases, this guest portal will also be very useful. In that case, you can ask them to validate themselves with certain kind of flow. So like in our in our BMC own IT, we are actually going to expose using this guest portal services for multi-factor reset and account unlocks. But you have to challenge the user to validate their identity. Once you validate their identity, you know who they are, then you can easily pass their information to requested by and requested for because you know they are in your system. You can just send that information over and that would reflect correct. But in a school system where the parent is not even part of your Active Directory, who's just a guest user, you have no other option. So it will be responsibility of your service desk really doing the triaging to really talk to the right person, have the right communication done. But it's just a way of submitting a form so that the communication can be established and your end users don't need to really register themselves, right? Just for inquiry form, they don't need to really expose the external portal self-registration capability. You don't need that. So it is targeting those use cases. But again, if you are more, if you are more inclined towards validating them and then passing on their information, you can easily do that, right? As I said, if you validate them somehow through a questionnaire that they are the person that who is in the system, then you can validate. So like in case of BMC IT, we're going to validate them through their identity that they're going to provide. We're going to send them the, ask them of what kind of verification factor do you want to go. Do you want a push notification? Do you want a message on your registered mobile number? The validity of the OTP that comes to your phone is going to be 2 minutes. So you need to enter the OTP. So then you can use OTP and use the external process in Innovation Suite to really validate that OTP with your provider who's providing the SMS, and then you know who the person is. Then you can just set requested by and requested for. We are doing that, by the way, with the guest portal internally in BMC.
Thanks, Deepu. That is a really good use case. We would firstly, that would like to explore that. But yeah, the part where you're validating, yeah, it's tricky, and will have to play with it, I guess, in the question itself. Thanks, Deepu.
Yeah. So I saw there were other questions
Yeah,
too.
there's Kevin's got a question. Is there an additional cost to use Guest Portal?
Yes, so you will have to be on Service Management Suite license, Kevin, and then there you will have, it's basically per agent licensing that gives you entitlement and then also gives you what is your initial seed amount of the number of users that you can use. So you can get in touch with your account manager and we can work out what you really want. Yes, definitely, if you are going overboard, what your license entitles you, you need to buy additional capacity. And we'll have a separate SKU for additional capacity too. I think I covered this in the beginning of the webinar. If once this is posted, you can go back to the beginning, the first slide where I tried to cover this part. So the next one is from Linda, is around how do you validate them? I just answered it to Abhijat, how do you validate them, right? As a guest user, if you don't want to validate them, you can just bypass and let them submit as a user. Otherwise, you have to really work on the validation use case with your own IT and identify how do you want to validate. Because as an employee who's locked out of the system but still want to submit a request through an automation to unlock myself, then I can do it from the guest portal. I just explained about how we are doing it with BMC IT. We let them ask few questions that are very personal to us, that only we know. We ask 4 or 5 questions in combination of that. We use an orchestration process to go and validate that answer on the fly. Then we say you are valid, you are a valid user. I'm going to send you an OTP to your registered phone. We use Active Directory to retrieve their phone number, use another service, telco service, to send them one-time message, and then they again put that in the questionnaire. We use the external validation workflow to validate them against through that third-party system that the OTP is validated, and then we let them do the unlock of the account. So there are ways and means to do this. You need to be just creative with this and then validate them like that, right? There is no core out of the box functionality. Again, you can use it in a way I just said, but the idea is guest portal. It's purely based on the guest. When you are on a county website, you want to report something in a goodwill, you are on a public website where you want to inquire about something but don't need to really register, right? That's where this use case typically comes in. And the same question, does external portal requires a license? So this is a guest portal. External portal is totally different. Yes, answer is external portal also requires you a license. That's part of also. So that's available with the old licensing model. Those who are on the a la carte mod licensing modeling or the old licensing model, it was sold as a separate SKU. For that, you had to be on Digital Workplace Advanced license, and then you can buy it as an external as a separate SKU that's called as BMC Helix Digital Workplace external users, self-registered users. That's the the license type that is there. But this is totally a different thing. This is guest portal. It has nothing to do with the external portal. External portal is provides you self-registration capability. Here there is no self-registration. It's public. It's open to all. Yeah, okay. And I think the other two are just follow-up message. Thanks, Linda. So, Sam, we can mark those as answered.
Okay. And then a question from Marek. There is no way to delete the users which tried to register or which are already registered. One can only disable them. It would be good to have the possibility to remove them, at least those which don't authenticate the email. So I think that's more like a design request, Deepak, from Marek.
I think it's going to is it going, Marek, if you can come off mute, are you asking specifically about external portal where people self-register themselves?
Yeah, hello everyone. Hello, Deepak. Yes,
Hello.
yes, that's the question actually. But I don't know what's the latest version. I played with this solution, I don't know, from 2 months ago. So I saw the users which asked, which are trying to register, they put there some email, and there is entry created in WP, in DWP, and this entry cannot be deleted. So if I want to play, I can send like thousands of these requests with generated emails, and all these entries will be created. And the entries are fake because they didn't authenticate with the email code, but somebody's just playing, And first question is how to block this, but this is another tema. But if there is some user which didn't authenticate, he didn't want to authenticate, then how to remove him? You can only put them to disabled or something like this, but maybe the options is existing already now.
Yeah, so this is, I think your specifically question is when they registered, they created fake
External.
entry, the external portal email came in with the valid code, the captcha. They did not put the captcha, so there is a stale entry in your DWP table
Exactly.
that you need to clean up.
Exactly.
Okay. Yeah, I can.
Yeah.
I have my team on the call. They can certainly answer. I
Well,
don't think there is a way.
I can answer that, Deepak.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you go into CTM people and find these data records, you can mark them as status delete.
No,
make
I'm
No,
one step. I'm one step before. I didn't authenticate, so the CTM people entry was not created yet.
Yeah,
No?
yeah. It's just a registration request, and it's pending really for
Only the
somebody to
entries
enter
in
the captcha.
DWP are created, because I know how it works. I check the entries. I know where is the authentication code because I need it to play
Yeah.
with it.
Maybe
And
we
there are
can.
two
It's an
phases.
IS.
Yeah.
Yeah, there is a IS. It's basically an IS record. So
Mm-hmm.
I can certainly come back to you with my team to see if you can write a rule to clean up that table, if they have not authenticated themselves with the captcha that's actually sent to them on the email, just that
Yeah,
particular email. Yeah.
for me, no problem. Even when I don't know all the connections, I found the entries in 3 tables or 2 of them. No worry. But for the administrator, which is using GUI, you give the possibility to mark them disabled, but some of them are really fake. And I know they are fake because I played just around. I wrote their email, which doesn't exist. And the entries persist in the system. I have no way to delete them. It's
I think
like rubbish. Yeah.
yeah, I think probably we need some way to basically get rid
I
of
un-
those records if
you
they are
know
not validated in time.
I understand the users which were authenticated and CTM people was created. Okay, they should stay for consistency, but the users which never authenticated with the code from email, there should be the option to remove them because
Yeah, I certainly agree. I think there should
somebody
be
just can
even
play.
even without even administrator getting involved, if the token has expired, it should automatically remove that. So I can come back to you on that
Oh,
part
thank you.
with my team. Yeah,
No big
that's
issue,
a valid ask. Yeah.
It's great, yeah. But by the way,
Yeah, I
thank
think
you very much.
it's basically housekeeping work that your system should automatically do if people did not come back on time, really, right? And so that entry is removed. So I can come back to you on that part. I need to brainstorm a little bit with the team, but
No
that's a
worry,
valid
it's just
ask.
by the way. But thank you very much, yeah, for all the stuff. Yeah. Thank you, Deepak.
Absolutely.
Thank you, Marek. So we have another question in the Q&A. Is there any projections for different exploits built in, such as JavaScript injections, text fields, or recommend regrets usage?
Yeah. Again, I'll probably, if Dennis, Tanya, if you guys are comfortable answering this, or Nick, if you can answer any of this question, this is more towards product security, but I'll just quickly give a single liner on this. Um, it's using the same DWP code base that you already have, okay? That the only thing that you are not doing right now is just available as a guest to people from outside. Again, DWP already has got those cross-site scripting, regex validations, injections, scripts in place that automatically blocks it from those attacks. So it's not a new code; it's the same code, but the things that we have actually trimmed down is that you can access it as a guest without single sign-on, right? So if Tanya or Dennis or Nick, you have any comment on that from the product security standpoint, you can just answer. Otherwise, we can get back to it with more details from the product security group. if you have any answer, you can come off mute and answer.
Hello, hi everyone. Yeah, I think I would say yes. It's for the JavaScript injections. It's just technology that we use for building DWP UI prevents some of the injections. So it's same as for usual DWP.
Yep, awesome. Thank you. The other question that we have is from Abhijat is for restricting knowledge articles. So knowledge is not available in this release, Abhijat, and then in subsequent releases it will be. It's just that you don't have any guest level knowledge in providers like knowledge management, Comaround, business workflow knowledge, and RKM. We are working on it right now. Only thing available to you is how to articles, and you can't have knowledge article link because it's not going to load you anything really, right? So it's going to be like a publicly available link that you can have for how to. But in future,
But all
yes,
the okay, but all the how-to articles would be available. We cannot restrict that this article would be entitled and this won't be in the search.
yeah, Tanya or Nick, if you guys can answer that question. So basically, if you saw me creating how-to article, I was giving the client side and the server side URL. It has nothing to do with the knowledge management, if that answer your question. Knowledge management is totally separate. We're going to work on
Okay.
knowledge management integration part at a later stage. Yeah.
It's something you
Okay.
create in digital workplace. Those are
Yeah,
how
yeah,
to
absolutely.
how
Those
to.
are how to.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah. Not the
got it.
RKM how
Yeah,
to. Okay.
got it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We'll do that in a later stage. We know the need for that, and then we will do it in a later stage, but it requires change on all the products. Business workflow, RKM, Helix knowledge management by Comaround, they don't have concept of a public knowledge. So it will come up. It will come up in future releases. Okay.
Okay, yeah, I think that is all our questions. We've got 2 minutes left, so if anyone has any final questions, either raise your hand or put into the Q&A. Otherwise, we will close this webinar. And hopefully see
Thank
some
you.
of you next week, right, Deepak, with your
Right.
third session.
25. Yeah.
Yeah, it's
I think,
been
yeah, the bigger features we really wanted to cover individually, those are like really flagship features. So Catalog Curator and this one was a flagship. You had Carl Enders talking about Employee Navigator. So then in that session, we'll cover this, but not in this depth, but we'll have just an overview, and then we'll do more of the hands-on demos on the other features that we've introduced. So that gives us more time and more time to you all to really think about any question, and feel free to ask this question related to these topics in the other sessions. We can always answer that because it's part of the same release 25 too.
absolutely.